So why shouldn't you invest in real estate? I'll tell you now on this episode of the Unlock Success Podcast.
This is the Unlock Success Podcast. We're helping entrepreneurs around the world dive deep into the keys you need to shatter excuses, believe in yourself, and help you achieve your highest goals. Here's your host, 8-figure entrepreneur and the living legend of internet marketing, Anthony Morrison.
Hey, what's up? Anthony Morrison here, and welcome to this episode of the Unlock Success Podcast, where we kind of talk about things that have nothing to do with internet marketing, but everything to do with you being able to have a more successful and more prosperous life. I'm your host, Anthony Morrison, and super excited about today's topic because it was just kind of thrown at me, right? Thrown at me. Why should you not invest in real estate? Right. So we're trying to take topics of instead of topics that I personally want to talk about, we'll take topics that, a lot of our listeners want to hear about. And a lot of people say, Anthony, well, why shouldn't you invest in real estate? Because I know I've said in a few of my videos, I'm like, hey, internet marketing is better than real estate investing, and here's why, right? So let's first and foremost get this out of the way. I am not a financial advisor, so what I tell you here just is for educational purposes only, all right? But let me just give you my take on real estate. And I see this with a lot of people. When you buy real estate, you are still getting in debt. And this is the thing that I think a lot of people miss out on is I have a friend here that just closed a deal. He made $2 million on this deal. So $2 million cash. I was really proud of him. And the first thing he did was he started locating property and stuff. He said, I need to 1031 exchange it. I need to put all this money in real estate. And I'm like, whoa, time out. Why do you need to dump this money in real estate? Well, I'm going to save a little bit in taxes. I'm like, yeah, but you're not going to have any cash. Oh, well, don't worry. I'll just refinance it later. I'm like, well, now you're going to have a lot of debt. Like, the American dream should not be to see how fast and how far can we get in debt, right? That's really not what it's all about. It's about having a lifestyle that frees you from the worry of financial issues, right? And having financial security and all of these types of things. But that doesn't all necessarily happen because you're in debt for millions of dollars in real estate. So there's good real estate, there's bad real estate, there's ebbs and flows and ups and downs with all of them. For instance, take short-term rentals. Like I had a lot of these short-term rentals down in Florida and made a lot of money from these, right? Made a good bit of money, was able to flip them. I hit the market at the right time. They say in real estate, timing is everything, right? I did phenomenal with them, but I will tell you this. There's this dark side of short-term rentals that nobody tells you about, and it's the insane management fees, right? We were getting hit with 22% management fees. So if we did $100,000 in rents, $22,000 right off the top just for management fees, right? Nobody tells you that when they are talking to you about why it's so intelligent to invest in real estate and why you should dump your life savings in it and blah, 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 all this stuff. They don't tell you about all these fees, right? You don't realize that there's these things that bring down the profit margins and bring up the level of risk. So this is kind of how I look at all of my deals. I look at how much cash flow, how much free cash flow am I going to make? How much debt am I going to get myself into? And then what's my risk threshold? So for instance, if a short-term rental like that's making me, $100,000 a year in rental income, if it has 22%, that's just taken right off the top, right, to pay a management company, I know that my risk threshold's much higher there because a lot of my revenue is being siphoned off by something I cannot control and I cannot change, right? I'm going to have that management company. I'm going to have property taxes. And these are two things that I can't fix. I can't go get a lower interest rate on my loan, all that stuff. You can't change your taxes and your management fees. And so I look at that and I say, man, that's a higher risk, right? So I might avoid that if that was something that I was looking to invest in as, my full-time income, right? Which is what I see a lot of people doing. You see things like strip centers. We're building a 30,000 square foot strip center right now. Great. It's phenomenal, right? And you do all the numbers and you're like, man, I can make all this money. Yeah, but it's $6 million. So I'm $6 million in debt. Yes, I'm going to make a couple $100,000 a year in positive cash flow from it, but I'm still $6 million in debt. We've been building that strip center for over a year now, And just yesterday, prior to me recording this episode of the podcast, I had one of our tenants, one of the first tenants that signed a lease, ping us and say, "Hey, I'm out. I need to get out of my lease." Now, sure, we've got a contract. We could sue them, blah, 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 right? But, you can't get water from a dry well. So what good's that really going to do me? Ultimately, with these big retail strip centers, what is your risk? Your risk is that each individual tenant represents a massive amount of money. That one lease was $216,000, and I lost it in the blink of an eye. Right? So when I look at something like that, I'm saying, wow, it's a great thing, but it's also a massive amount of risk because I've got 5 or 6 clients, right? 5 or 6 tenants. And if I lose 1 or 2 of them, all of a sudden we go from a positive cash flow to an immediate negative cash flow. Just like that. So why do I tell you that real estate is a bad investment? It's not because I myself don't invest in real estate or anything like that. It's because most people that listen to my podcast, most people that follow me, most people that are paying attention to what I'm doing, you're beginners and you're looking to make your first dollar, right, in your own business. You're not entrepreneurs that have already succeeded at a really high level and you can afford to take more risk, right? You're beginners that are looking to build your business, looking to make your first dollar maybe on the internet, looking to build a better life for yourself and for your family. You can do that so much better online and with so much less risk. Let's take the risk of that short-term rental, which was $900,000, or the risk of that strip center, which was $6 million for me, okay? That combined bring in about $300,000 a year in revenue, right? And probably closer to $200,000 in actual profit, free cash flow, money I can put in the bank. $200,000. But I'm in $6.9 million in debt for that with massive risk. Let's compare that to my very first business that I started online. I paid a developer that I found on the internet, her name was Letitia Burrows, $2,000 to build me my very first website. It was to sell car parts. I then called the manufacturers of all kinds of different car parts for Ford Mustangs and told them I wanted to sell their products and I needed wholesale pricing. They all gave it to me because they didn't want their competitors to be sold somewhere that they were not sold at. So that cost me nothing. So my total investment is $2,000. I then spent, I believe it was $75 for an advertising account on a website that a lot of Ford Mustang enthusiasts visit. It's called corral.net. Big message board, lots of people chatting, all kinds of Mustang enthusiasts there. I made posts on that message board about our products. I made $10,000, I think, my first month. And in my first year, I did over $350,000, of which over $200,000 was profit. My debt, $2,075. Well, $2,000 plus $75 a month, I guess, for my advertising account on that website. Which would you rather have? What makes more sense, right? Now you fast forward 20 years till today, I've done over $250 million online. I've got a lot of disposable income. I can afford to take more risk. I can bet on a retail strip center and on some short-term rentals and all of these things. But if you are a beginner and you don't have a ton of disposable income and you're looking to build a business, then the number one thing that you can do is start one online. It's cheaper, it's faster, it's certainly easier to pivot, right? What would you have done had you started a real estate investment business during the pandemic and everyone moved out of your strip centers or out of your office spaces? You would have been left with a bunch of empty space, a bunch of bills, and no way to pay them, right? The internet has proven time and time again that it's recession-proof, it's pandemic-proof, it's president-elect proof. It doesn't matter what's happening in the world, the internet still keeps going, right? And so my advice to you is, if you want to build a business, you want to have success, you want to invest in yourself, invest in your knowledge, invest in your ability to learn how to use this internet thing, this thing that's been around now for probably 20 years that you can now tap into and truly turn into a business and an income stream without getting into millions of dollars of debt, without worrying about recessions and pandemics and who the president is and all the other stuff that we do have to worry about in so many other industries. My advice is take your time and energy invested in yourself, not in real estate. Gain the knowledge and the expertise that you need in order to truly build a successful online business. I believe that you will find that this is easier, it's more attainable, and it's far less risky. So thank you for writing in this question of why you should not invest in real estate. As you can see, I can get going. I could probably speak for hours about this, but ultimately, my end goal is to give you the information that you need to make the decisions that are going to help you succeed at the highest level, right? At the highest level. And I truly believe it's much easier for you or for anyone else to make a decision to spend $2,000 to start their own business than to spend $6 million to build a strip center and get deep into the real estate investing game. So hopefully you found some value in this. Start your own online business. And I look forward to having you join me next week on another episode of the Unlock Success Podcast.